If you are someone who is plagued with food noise, always thinking about food, always worrying about it, obsessing about it, stressing about it, I hear you. My name is Victoria Evans. I'm a radical self care mentor, author, and human who once had very loud food noise, talking about the volume all the way cranked up. I probably have some hearing loss. It was so loud, the voice in my head. So if you're feeling consumed by food thoughts, you are not alone. I've worked with hundreds of women who struggled with the exact same thing. And so this episode is not about willpower. This is about needs and trust and turning down the volume in your brain by understanding what is that voice, what are these words, what are the things that are actually being said to you with all this food noise. So what is food noise? Well, the definition is persistent, intrusive mental chatter about food. What should I eat? Did I eat too much? How many calories are on this? Should I be more hungry right now? Should I be more full right now? How much did they eat? Should I eat less? Oh my God, I ate more than them. All of that chatter, all of that noise that is taking up so much mental real estate. That is food noise. And for some of us, we think food noise is a control issue, is us not having enough willpower. But in reality, it is a restriction issue. So we need to reframe it. Food noise is not the enemy, it's your body's SOS signal. There are four hidden types of restriction that ultimately fuel food noise. The first is mental restriction. That's when we label foods like good and bad, and we find ourselves in a spiral of shame if we've eaten certain foods that we deemed were not what we should have eaten. Fix for this is to work more towards food neutrality, right? Food is just food. Because, for example, if I said to you, starting tomorrow, you can never have your favorite food again, for example, chocolate. If I said, starting tomorrow, you can never have chocolate again. Tonight, I might feel a bit panicky, go out and buy a bunch of chocolate, right? Eat as much of it as I can because it's the last time I'm ever going to have it. Versus if I said to you, starting tomorrow, you're going to always have this food in arm's length for the rest of your life. You're always going to have access to it. So for me, if I always had chocolate right there, maybe the first few days would be exciting because maybe it's something I've not let myself have access to before. And so I'm going to eat more of it. It's a novelty. But eventually, after a few days, it's gonna wear off. If I can always have access to something, if it's always available to me, it loses its power over me. So you can see here, by leaning into the permission and allowance and abundance and not labeling foods as good and bad, but rather moving towards neutrality, we can remove this stress, this pressure, this excitement around these forbidden foods, right? So practice leaning into neutrality, practice leaning into permission and allowance. I give myself permission to eat this food. I'm allowed to eat this food and watch the difference that's going to happen when it comes to all that mental chatter around. The second is physical restriction. Are you eating enough food? Maybe your brain is simply energy deprived, calorie deprived. One of the biggest indicators that we are not eating enough food is that we're thinking about food all the time. We're fantasizing about it. We're thinking about what we can have for our next snack. I know when I was in the throes of my food struggles and eating disorders, I was constantly thinking about food, and a lot of it was because I was physically restricting. So make sure that you're eating enough, make sure that you're eating regularly. The third is emotional restriction, and that is when we use food to suppress or numb or avoid our feelings. Sometimes that's stress snacking, especially at night, or maybe you have a big meeting coming up in the afternoon and you find yourself wanting to go and get something before to make yourself feel better. So the fix for this is to be checking in with yourself before you start eating and asking yourself, am I truly hungry? Or am I just craving a change of state, a change of feeling? Because a lot of the times we're not actually hungry. We just want to change how we feel, and we want food to do that for us. So check in and see what's coming up for you, especially in the moments you find yourself reaching towards foods when you're not hungry. But with that, eating when you're not hungry is normal. It's a part of life. We're going to eat to celebrate when we're sad or all these different things. That's normal. That's human. But if we're only ever eating when we're not hungry and we're always ignoring what might be going on, that's a cause to check in. So the fourth type of restriction is connection restriction. That is disconnection from yourself or your body or others. It's when food becomes a substitute for love, for comfort, for presence, for belonging, for loneliness. So the fix for this is, of course, connection. That could be connection with yourself. Maybe that's breath work or journaling, or maybe it's connection with others. How are you prioritizing connecting with other people? Is it a phone call? Is it messaging someone to go for a coffee or for a walk? Be intentional about creating that connection in your life. And make sure you're aware of how food noise is showing up in your everyday life because that is clues. And maybe at night you're watching TV and you have that food noise coming up, but maybe it's just because you're bored or lonely or there's something unresolved and we want to eat food and then blame ourselves for the fact we ate that food, which helps us to avoid the thing that we were thinking about and stressing about in the first place. Right. So each of the moments that we have this food noise coming up is a clue, an opportunity for us to dig deeper into what's really going on. As a reminder, food noise is not you failing, it's about your body begging to be heard. So if we're meeting those needs with consistency, curiosity, and compassion, that volume knob is going to go down, but it's going to take time. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take showing up for yourself. All right. With that said, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you spending this time and energy with me. I invite you to like and subscribe as well as comment below what you'd like to see next because I would love to create that for you. And depending on when you're watching this, I may or may not have already launched my absolute dream. So check in the comments below, check on this page, depending on where you're watching it, and see if I've actually launched this and brought it to reality. Because if yes, you're going to want to check it out. You're going to want to be a part of it. Because truly, this is my life's work. This is my dream come true, and I can be more proud of it. And I know it's going to make a huge impact, huge change in your life. So check it out. Thank you so much for being here. Till next time.